Good afternoon, Miss Aisha.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Ma. You're welcome.
Thanks. You can just
Uh,
call me Aisha, it's fine.
okay. Okay, good afternoon, you're welcome. And I don't know, we will probably waiting for like few more people to join before we start, Ma. In few like
No
2 minutes,
wahala.
Ma. All right, Ma. Mr. Bakar, please can you play the videos while we are waiting for others? Okay, I guess we'll not be waiting. We will just wait for others to join us while we continue the meeting. So, once again, welcome, Miss Aisha, and it's a pleasure to have you on this platform you know, to have agreed to be our guest speaker today from the Gohard Media Group, and in conjunction with the Student Affairs of the Nile University of Nigeria. Welcome, ma.
Thank you. I don't know, do you want me to put on my video or not sure how you have it planned? So let
If you feel comfortable putting on your video, ma, we'll surely be okay with it.
okay, well, you didn't say yes or no, so I don't know what that means. Um,
You can put on your video so we can see you.
okay,
But
I'll
I
put
guess
it on.
most people here are shy, so okay.
Okay, I'll put it on there, I'll put it off after a while.
Okay, ma. Yes, welcome, ma. Shortly I'll be calling on Fauzia Yusuf, one of our Gohard group member, to you know recite the citation of our guest speaker for us. Fauzia, are you there?
I
Fauzia.
hope you have my citation.
I'm going to say some things before. Fauzia. I guess you have to. Maybe a network or something. Um, Arafa, if you are close to Fauzia, please can you tell her to unmute her mic? Oh God, she just left.
I think her network is fluctuating.
Okay, okay. So okay, let's I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, ma. We still couldn't get Fauzia, so we will just continue with the meeting. And as we all know, the theme for today's meeting is nurturing your journalistic dreams. And the Gohard Media Group consists of mostly the mass communication students of Nile University of Nigeria. And so when we got to know about your recent award, we thought it would be a good for us to get across to you for you to talk to us and encouraging us about what journalism is like, most especially working with CNN.
Okay.
Miss Aisha, you can, yes.
To be honest, like I guess there's no pattern for this conversation, so I'm just going to freestyle because again, I'm not really sure how the conversation is supposed to go. So I guess pull me back if I am going off track or if you feel like what I'm saying doesn't correlate
It's
with
no,
what you
yeah,
guys
it's
want to
no
hear.
problem, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I don't know. I guess I should start with my own personal story of how I found my way into journalism.
Okay, ma.
Maybe
Sorry to interrupt you, ma. Fauzia just joined. I don't know if she's ready. Fauzia,
okay.
Fauzia, are you there?
I'm ready.
Okay, please go on. Yeah, I've been expecting you.
Okay.
Yes, you can go on now. Fauzia,
Okay. Miss Aisha Salaudeen is an award-winning journalist who has worked full-time, who has worked in full-time and freelance journalism for about 4 years. And she is a multimedia journalist based in Lagos, Nigeria. She covers mostly development, human interest, and social justice stories because she has a bias for telling underreported human angle stories. Aisha Salaudeen holds a master's degree in finance, accounting, and management from Bradford University School of Management, along with a bachelor's degree in business/managerial economics from the University of Bradford. Please welcome our guest speaker.
yes, Miss Aisha Salaudeen. Yeah, the floor is now yours now. We are honored to have you. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you. So before you came, Fauzia, I was saying that I was just going to, I guess, start with how I personally became a journalist. So maybe in the course of just explaining that, maybe some people will find interesting tips or something because I came into the unconventional way. So I mean, as you might have noticed, I didn't study mass communication or anything related to media. I was a finance student. I wanted to become an accountant, I guess, and then an economist. So like, yeah, anyway, so I think I realized that I didn't really like accounting after I had already gotten into uni. So it was one of those situations whereby when they ask you, oh, what do you want to study? And you don't really know. I didn't know. And I couldn't afford to wait 1 year at home figuring out what I wanted to do. So I just went for the next best thing. My dad is an economist and he's an accountant. So I was like, okay, since my dad does this, let me do the same thing that he is doing. Anyway, so when I now finally, the moment I realized that I wanted to be a journalist, I knew I wanted to be a journalist, but I didn't know what type of journalist I wanted to be. I know you all know, like, there's a broadcast journalist, there are the digital journalists, stuff that you already know. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do everything until I figure out what I want to do. Thankfully, I was still in school at the time, so I still had time to I had a lot of time to figure out what I wanted to do. It wasn't like I was done with NYSC or anything. So in school, I first of all joined my school's radio station because I wanted to figure out if it was broadcast journalism that was for me. So I was doing that for, I think, 4 years. Throughout my undergrad, I was in the school's radio station, and I really, really liked it. The students liked me. I was presenting a show on African news, because so it was a British, I mean, it was in the UK, and then Africans were interested in news about them. So like it was, people really enjoyed it. So from there, I realized that, okay, broadcast journalism is not bad. And then again, as part of a way to explore, I wanted to write articles as well to see if I could write, because I wanted the best possible option for me. So what I used to do then is I used to write social commentary. So things that are happening in the country, maybe like I want to give my own opinion. So I'll write it and then I'll send it to Nigerian newspapers so that they can publish. And then I noticed over time, as I started making friends with the editors of these newspapers, that every time they'll be saying, oh, where is your commentary for this week? Where is your commentary for this week? So that's when I realized that, okay, that the commentary is not actually that bad, that I can actually write for print media. So I continued to do the radio thing, and I continued to also send my commentary every week to, I think I used to send to many, to Punch, This Day, Leadership. Those are the ones that I really used to send to a lot, and they used to publish my stuff. Then after that, I wanted to try out for TV, and that's why I didn't have a lot of luck, because remember that I said I was schooling in the UK, and so many people said, oh, well, we don't understand your accent, so I don't think you're going to do well on TV in the UK. So they were, I don't know, maybe pretending, or they really genuinely didn't understand my accent. So I didn't have any luck with TV. And so that's kind of how I found my way into journalism, was just me trying everything. But you know, the reality, when you leave university, you don't have so much time to be exploring. There was NYSC, I had to get a job because I also had needs. Like after uni, it just felt weird continuously asking my parents for money. So what I did was I got a job as an accountant, because I mean, I had done a master's degree in accounting and I didn't want it to waste. But over time, I started meeting journalists on the field. So I don't know, remember that I said that I was already friends with some editors because I used to send commentary. So I sent messages to all of them. I said, look, I'm looking for a full-time job as a journalist. I don't mind if I start as an intern, because obviously I didn't study journalism. Like, just help me out. And then I also started asking all my journalist friends or friends of friends, like, how can I become a journalist in Nigeria? I don't know anybody. I don't know anything about it. Then I went on Twitter and I made a tweet. I said, look, I need a job. I don't have experience, but I'm willing to learn, blah, blah, blah. And funny thing is, the Twitter tweet went viral. People were retweeting it. And then I woke up the next day with many DMs, and people were like, oh, you say you want to be a journalist. What are your skills? You know, people actually were looking at my work. It also helps that I had done commentary before and I was on the radio. So when people were asking, what have you even done self? Like, you didn't study journalism? Oh, then I would be like, okay, well, I'll explain everything that I had done to them. And so that's how I got my first that's not how I got my first full-time job. Sorry, that's how I started freelancing. Someone was saying, a journalist called Mercy Abang, I think she used to work for the UN then. She saw the tweet and she said, let me help you. Have you ever heard about freelancing? I was like, I don't know what that is. So she explained that freelancing is when you send, when you work for different media publications, you're not just within one media publication. I'm sure you guys already know what all that is. So she explained the process to me. She introduced me to some of her friends who taught me how to freelance. And I think in 2017 or 2016, if I'm not mixing it up, I can't remember, I started sending out emails to editors of international media publications. I was saying, look, I can write. This is an interesting topic. Let me know if you want me to cover it. And then luckily for me, or unluckily at that time, that was the very, very first time NSAS was trending in 2017. I don't know if you guys remember. So I was like, you know what? I've not seen any international media cover NSAS. Let me just say it. So I sent them a message. I was like, look at what is happening in Nigeria. I am on ground. I can travel around the country. Just tell me what you need and I'll write this article. I sent it to one of Al Jazeera's editors. And the next day they were like, we're interested. Can you cover this? And I was so surprised. I was like, okay, yes, I can. So I went around, I did my research, I wrote the article, they published it. And so from there, I started using that as yardstick. So when I was sending emails, I'd be like, oh, by the way, I've written for Al Jazeera. So that kind of really helped me, because people were now taking me more seriously, because they were like, okay, if this one can get to Al Jazeera, then maybe she has something, there. So I started using it as leverage. I started writing. I wrote for BBC, TRT World, all of them, you know, it helps when you just have that social capital. You're now like, I've written for these guys, so people start taking it seriously. And from there, I got my first full-time job. It was a media publication based in Lagos. They did mostly business stuff. But because I didn't, I was happy to take the job. It wasn't paying a lot. I didn't want to do business. But remember, I'm not a trained journalist. So I felt that if I worked in that role, I would get all the training I needed because it would be in the newsroom. So I got all the training I needed. I worked with them. They trained me in comms and how to write articles, how to talk to people. And I was writing so many articles every day. So what I used to do then was, because nobody knew who I was, nobody was reading my work. How many people read business news? You know, what I did was I used to go on social media, my Facebook, my Twitter, and my Instagram. Once I write an article, I'll just post it. I'll say, hey guys, look at what I've written. And I used to write articles every day. So every day I always had a new post, or sometimes more than one post every day. And then I think some people noticed, they were like, wait, why are you always writing articles every day? Like every day you're always writing articles. I was like, yes, because I'm trying to learn. I don't have the experience. So I'm always doing this. So people started knowing me because every day there would be Aisha Salaudeen on their Facebook or Instagram. And that was where I didn't even know that people were, you know, watching me. What I was just doing was I was trying to prove to myself that even though I wasn't trained as a journalist, like I can do it. So I was always forcing myself to take all these courses, always doing all these things, writing, you know, training. And then it really helps me. That's how I got to CNN. Because one day I just saw a message, it was on Twitter from the Africa editor for CNN. And she was like, hey, would you like to work with CNN? And I was like, oh my God, like, is this real? You know, and then she called me and said, look, I see that you're always writing every day. You're always like, I'm always seeing your name because you're always sharing your work. So like, come in and do an interview and do a test. So they did an interview, they did a test. And I think it was that moment that I felt like, okay, I've actually proved to myself that even though I didn't study this thing, I can actually, you know, do the work. So that's when I started, and I've been with CNN for almost 2 years now. I think my role has changed a bit, but I guess that's the story of how I became a journalist. Just to summarize the major tips that helped me, I think it was me working as an intern, for example, at the radio station. It was me writing articles, even though I had no clue what I was doing. It was me contacting as many other journalists for help and assistance and kind of like mentorship. And then it was also me putting my work out there. So not everybody knew what I was doing, but I kept sharing it every day, like so that people would see it. Sometimes people would see it, sometimes they wouldn't see it, but every day I made sure that I shared. And that's kind of what got other people to see my work. So I think, I guess that's where I am right now. I guess those are just my major tips. Always be ready to try out new stuff. Even like at the start, you'll probably not be paid well or enough. Because I remember at the start, honestly, it wasn't a lot of money. I was really struggling, but I also felt that, you know what, let me struggle now. And then later on, when I have all the skills and the experience to boast for, it will be worth it. So at the start, you'll probably not be paid a lot, or you'd have to sometimes do stuff for free, or sometimes you feel like I'm a graduate, why do I have to intern? So, you know, some of those things can feel insulting, but really it might be helpful, especially if you can see the path that you're going for. So I think that was something that really helped me. I just felt that I had to prove to myself, you know, and to my parents, because imagine after you've done, I have 4 degrees in finance and accounting. So imagine after you've done 4 degrees that your parents paid for in accounting, like you, of course, you have to prove to them that you know what you're doing, that you're not crazy. So, you know, I kind of had to do the work and prove to them. So that's kind of what really helped and motivated me. I guess the summary of what I'm saying here is there's a lot of work, a lot to prove to yourself, and I might not be great at first, but I think if you see where you're going, it helps. Lastly, I think it's just sharing your work more. Sometimes, you know, some people always say that, oh, if the work is good, it will speak for itself. People will notice because it's good. But it's not true. If you don't share it, if you don't tell people about it, nobody's going to see, to be able to appreciate how good it is. So despite the fact that you think that maybe it's something you've written on campus or something that you've done on the radio, you must always share it with as many people as you can. If it's on WhatsApp or Facebook, on Twitter, because you really don't know who is watching, and there's no way anybody's going to know about your work if you're not sharing. If you're just doing it and keeping it, how will I know? How will the next person know that, okay, this person is doing great? So I think those are my major tips. And sorry, I know that was very, very long. I just I just felt it was important to give a lot of context. So I think that's all. Is there anything else that you guys want me to specifically, talk about some more, or specific questions? Let me know.
Wow, this has been very inspiring and interesting. Like the way I'm even listening to you is like, wow. Okay, fine. For we that we've already find ourselves in mass communication, we still have even diverse. Is it that you want to go into broadcasting, journalism, or PR, or all other sub how will I say sub-courses under mass communication. But for I've read about you how you were able to bring up this for like when someone comes to your media and be like managerial science, finance, accounting, and they're like wow. So I was like okay fine. We are now thank God you are here today. You and people have been able to hear from you what you went through, and it's very interesting and it's a victory like you even won an award recently. So congratulations once again. And I don't know. For me, I've understood some. I don't know. I'll be bringing up my questions soon, but I don't know if there's anyone, um, any part of our participants that wants to, ask a question. The floor is open. Two one seven. The floor is open for people to ask questions because I know a lot of people have they are curious to know something. I know there's Fauzia here, there's Rama here too. So please, if you want to ask questions, this is an opportunity for you to ask your question, please. Fauzia, please can you ask a question to Miss Aisha?
Okay, the question I have is that you said you wrote articles every day. Where did you get the inspiration to write those articles? Was it like something you thought about, or was it something already existing? Like maybe you wrote an article on NSAS, something.
Oh, okay. Um, so writing articles every day for me was a result of many things. First of all, remember that I said I was working for a small business publication in Lagos. That publication was just starting out, so they needed a lot of content, a lot of articles. So which meant that I had to do the work because at the time, they had freelance journalists, but I was the only full-time journalist, which means I had to write every day. So the first motivation, honestly, was just work. It was like you have to do this work, like as an employee. And secondly, I was getting stories from. So I had a very tough editor, which I at the time that it was happening, I didn't really like it because I was like, why is this man always stressing me? But now I appreciate that he was tough. So I had a very tough editor that kept. It would be something like maybe I'm eating cake or something in the office and I say his name is Michael. So I'll say, Michael, I wonder how cake is made. Then he'll be like, why don't you write an article about it? Knowing fully well that if you have to write an article, you obviously have to do a little bit research on how that cake is made. So he'll say, write an article about it. So, I would just point at things on the road, like, why is this road on this street so bad? You say, write an article about it. So he was that kind of person that no matter how random things are, he'll say, write an article about it. So, to the point that sometimes I'll be in the office, I wouldn't talk again because I know that once I talk or say something, he'll say, write an article about it. So I was forced to think of story ideas just by being in the same environment with someone who was very, very curious. So sometimes it will be things that are already existing, maybe something that I see on social media that is trending, maybe a bad road, maybe something in the news. Sometimes it will just be something random. Like I'll give you an example of a very random thing. I went to Port Harcourt to cover the suits. There was something called suits that time in Port Harcourt where there was smoke everywhere. Um, and citizens were suffering from respiratory issues. It's still there up till today. And I missed my flight because I don't know, it was something logistical issues. And I was just I called them on the phone and I was angry. I said, I don't know what's happening. If they don't delay the flight, I'll miss it. And he said, wait, to write an article about it. And I was like, what's this man saying? Like, I'm angry. And I tell him, he said, have you ever thought about why they are always delaying flights? Like, is it the weather? What is it? And so like I wrote an article about why Nigeria is always why airlines delay flights. So sometimes you just be talking randomly and just on your own, and you just be like, write an article. So I guess for me, it really helped that I had a very curious editor that was always telling me, write. So my stories were ranging from random, like very random things like that airplane incidents, to very serious things like something that happened on the news, something that's going on in people's lives. Sometimes it would just be that I would be talking to a friend and then the person will mention something and I'll say, wait, though, somebody else has mentioned this thing. And next thing I know, I'm writing about it. So there was one that a friend was telling me that she could not rent an apartment because the landlord said that she's a single woman. She doesn't have a husband, so she's promiscuous. And I was like, in this same Lagos. Then I asked somebody else. She lived in Abuja. She said, yeah, it happened to her. I asked somebody else in Ibadan. Said, yes, it happened to her. So I kept asking. There was even someone in Yola. She said that people will look at you somehow because, you know, in the call, it's not very cultural for you to live alone as an unmarried woman. So things like that, sometimes you just be talking to many people and then you just find that there's a connection and then you come up with a story. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, like what you just said, I read one of your tweets that said you went out with your friend to one of these restaurants in Ikeja, and they said you can't, they won't allow you because you're not with a man or something.
Yeah, so those are
Amazing.
just little things that motivate. Like sometimes it's from your personal experience. That tweet now, it went viral, and then my editor in CNN called me and said, "You are busy tweeting about it instead of you to write an article about it. Don't you think this is a story worth writing?" So I called up different women. I said, "Do you know anybody that this has happened to?" And they were like, yes, that's happened to me. That's happened to me. I was like, wow, okay, this is such a big deal. Like, I didn't know. So sometimes it's just those personal experiences, random things, and then you just find that this is worth writing about or is worth covering.
Okay, I think Rama Yusuf wants to ask a question.
Okay, so thank you very much for interesting um, that you're giving us. I really enjoying it. Just so relaxed and calming. There's no tension in the air. So my question is, I really enjoying journalism career
Sorry, I
properly
can't hear
because
what you're saying at all. Sorry, like I think it's the network. So can you start again?
okay. So what I was saying was that I'm really amazed by how you're doing journalism, how far you're going. Like, just really interesting. So my question is, in in your when you were still trying out everything together, when you went to radio, do you have any other insight, any other that you think, um, I prefer to if you're in another form and you had your own strength, like, what
Sorry, I really can't hear anything you're saying. I'm sorry, like it's breaking. So maybe you should type it in. I think there's usually a box or something where you can type questions because I really can't hear anything. Sorry.
Oh, our question was like, if when you were trying out which part of journalism you're going to fit, was it broadcast or print or electronic? She said that if you were in another world, which other career were you thinking, okay, if this journalism doesn't work out, which other career would you have pursued?
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, this is a hard question. I honestly don't know. Maybe I would have just continued as an accountant, or I also like did a postgraduate degree in Islamic banking. So maybe I would have been in Islamic banking. But I honestly, because I've never really thought about it, I was so focused on journalism, I really don't know. I'd have probably just continued with accounting or banking or something related.
Okay, so let's just say now, apart from you sharing your posts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do you have a blog or something, like
Um,
a website?
no. So I used to have I don't know if you guys know Medium, but like you can post articles and essays, whatever on Mediums, like a website ish. What I did then was I used to post a lot of articles and essays on that Medium account. Um, just so that people who don't immediately access my work on the website of the company I was working with could see it on Medium. But right now, I just stopped populating it. Honestly, there's nothing on it. So I guess the answer to your question is I don't have a website. I just have links to my articles, like a portfolio, basically.
All right. Part of our participants, please, is there anyone that also is curious to ask a question or something to Miss Aisha? Mr. Bakar, I don't know if the videos are ready for us to at least play. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, Ma. We are trying to share our screen to play a video, like an interlude for break.
No wahala.
Okay, I think while we are waiting for them to share the screen, is there anyone that has a question to ask? I think Miss Aisha is willing to entertain our question. Arafat, I notice you are also you're an economy student, and we always see you in our studio. So maybe you're having a plan to do something in future, just like Miss Aisha has she has done. Is there something you want to say about
Not exactly.
that? Okay, so why do you always have in our studio? Arafat.
Sorry, can you retreat the question?
I said you are an economics student, and we always find you in the mass communication studio. And so the story of our guest speaker today is something like that. So, are you planning to, come share profession with us in the nearest future? Like, if you feel like, okay, this economics,
Maybe if
let
I'm
me just.
actually opportune, I might pursue a career in journalism or something close to that.
So, is that the reason why we're listening in the studio? And has she inspired you to be like, okay, so I can do this thing? Yeah, and that's
Yes.
why you've joined the Gohard Media Group.
Yeah. Since I'm not in mass communication, I can still be in. So that's why I joined. And it's very nice.
Oh, no problem. In future, we'll see what will happen. It's just a matter of time, right?
Yeah.
Yusuf, I don't know if you have any of our videos that you can just share your screen with us while we are waiting for the students to be able to share their screen. Thank you, Rama Isu, for sharing few of our videos that we've shot on Nile University
No.
campus. Those are those are short videos that we do shoot sometimes as part of the Gohard Media Group just to encourage students, and we're trying to pass a message to them through a 1 minute video for them to get aware of some things that they're unconscious of, and it's really a bad habit as students. So Miss Aisha, it's a pleasure to have you here, and we are honored for you to have answered our call to inspire us, and we as communication students now know at least what to do more, so as like someone that doesn't have a journalism background has really made it in this journalism field, and we are also looking forward to joining you in the field, yes, of journalism in very few time, inshallah.
Thank you, Habiba, for having me. Thank you for listening. And yeah, I really wish you all good luck. You're already doing good. You're on the right track. So inshallah, I'm rooting for you all. Thank you for listening.
I really hope there's no one that has any other questions, as we'll be rounding up this session soon. Please, if you have any question for our guest speaker, can you please signify? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you too.
So, in the absence of no question, I would like to notify my Vice President, Ramatala Yusuf, to give us a closing remark.
Okay, so it's the wrap up for this event. I just want to thank Mr. Salaudeen for creating us with this valuable work. I also want to thank the student affairs department of Nile University for making this event possible and for the partner of the event. I also would like to thank the mass communication department of Nile University and the Gohard Media members for their continuous support. I also want to thank every one of you for attending this class. We are grateful to you all and we hope to see you in our upcoming event. Thank you very much. My name is Rafa.
So thank you, Rama Yusuf. She has in brief thanked the student affairs of Nile University of Nigeria, the Mass Communication Department, the Gohard Media Group members, and most especially our guest speaker. Thank you so much for giving us this platform to, hear from you, inspire us, and also educate us. We'll be looking forward to have more of this educating session in the nearest future. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.